Nets 122, Lakers 115. It seems close, doesn't it? But it wasn't. This Lakers team, as you know, as I've said, as I continue to say, and will continue to say, is garbage. Like, it's so garbage. LeBron is just out here lying at press conferences, which I'll get to. The game that everybody was dead certain should be the last game of the night. Like, this is the two teams that should go to the finals, yada, yada. Lakers are so good. The Nets now have Kyrie, Harden, and KD. It's, like, meant to be. This is what we would call the chalk matchup. Like, I fucking hate chalk teams like Kansas that always underperform, and that's what this was. It's like, oh my God, Brooklyn Nets, big three, LA Lakers, LeBron James, and then they like, da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na, and then they're like, LeBron, KD, match up on Christmas Day. It's like, this is garbage. KD didn't even play. It did not work out like they thought. Let's just say that. Like, Adam Silver, when he booked this, he was like, yo, I killed this matchup. And no Kyrie, no KD, fat James Harden, LeBron out here doing everything. Yeah, here was the starting five of the Nets. Peyote Claxton, Bruce Brown, Patty Mills, James Harden, and DeAndre Bembry. DeAndre fucking Bembry starting on Christmas Day in primetime. Should not be. And then on the other side of the court, it was LeBron James, Russell Westbrook, Dwight Howard, Wayne Ellington, and Talen Horton-Tucker. Yeah. And then this is the same Lakers team that is sub 500 playing in primetime against a fat James Harden with a few stray milkmen that decided to show up in Nets uniforms. Like, what are we doing? And shockingly, the Lakers got the doors blown off. Like, Nets were up 20 going to the fourth. This game sucked. Like, I did not watch. I left. I left in the middle of it, and the Lakers rallied. But, like, I see that they lost, what, by 7? No, they didn't. Like, that's just not the case. Like, that's what it says, but you got your doors blown off. And it was never close. Every net starter was +5 or better. The +5 was Harden, who had 36, 10, and 10. The Lakers single-handedly allowed a fat James Harden to come out of his season-long slump. They woke the sleeping bear into, like, triple-double on Christmas night, where he's literally trolling the Lakers, being like, safe to say, today was a good day. In L.A., literally dropping Ice Cube references with photos of him bamming on the Lakers on Christmas Day just to be like, hey, we owned you. LeBron, epic night, 39, 9, and 7. And Russ had a perfect Russell Westbrook primetime Christmas game stat line. 4 for 20 from the field, rim checking himself on a dunk that then goes massively viral after the game. He then proceeded to shower and leave. Never did the post-game presser. Shocking. And then LeBron had to fill in and basically play Captain Save-A-Ho to Russell Westbrook, making up excuses about how Russ continuously impacts the game outside of just scoring. Like, cue the Ben Simmons notes, folks. Like, hey, you don't understand. Russ is a really special player. Like, you don't know all of the things that he does for our team. Like, that's what's going on. This is what LeBron had to say.
What are you asking? I don't quite understand your question.
I guess, I mean, okay, Coach Fizz was just saying, you know, he's feeling a lot of pressure with guys out. Maybe my question is, do you see that as well, and do you see that affecting how he plays?
I think he had off shooting night. I mean,
He's lying.
He missed so many shots around the rim that he's been accustomed to making throughout his career and throughout the season. Not worried about too much of that. You know, I think his decision-making was spectacular tonight. He had 11 assists. You know, he had 12 rebounds, 5 of them offensive. And we know we're not one of the better offensive rebounding teams in this league. So he gave us extra possessions. He just missed a lot of looks around the basket, which I know that he can't stand as well. But, you know, as far as the effort piece, if a guy plays hard and a guy leaves it on the floor, I got no problem with that. Just make him miss league.
Also, during that presser, he said,
nobody's going to feel sorry for you. Nobody's going to feel sorry for our record, or nobody's going to feel sorry for guys out, because everybody, you know, besides, I think, like Golden State and Phoenix, everybody has guys out, so.
Excuse me. Pause. That night, which we discussed earlier, this is now LeBron James just making random things up. Golden State on Christmas Day had Andrew Wiggins, Jordan Poole, Andre Iguodala, Damian Lee, Moses Moody, Wiseman, and Clay all out. They might be one of the most significantly impacted and decimated teams, and I do not know why LeBron James is lying, or maybe he's just completely out of it because Golden State seems like they're still a wagon with 8 guys that are normally in the starting rotation out. So that's where the Lakers are right now. Like, they are to the point where not only is LeBron James caping for Russell Westbrook and lying about who has full rosters, he's also playing center on defense and point guard on offense. Like, that's not a lie. I didn't make that up. That's not for jokes. That's facts. That is absurd. Here's where I remind folks, he's 37 on Thursday. Happy birthday, LeBron James. And he complained about, I just don't understand. And then David Fizdale had to come out, interim coach right now because Frank Vogel has COVID, another person who has COVID. He said, hey, they were like, how do you think you can fix this? And his response was, we can clone LeBron James. Do you guys know any scientists? Can we make a duplicate? I don't know. That's where we're at. That the only solution to the Lakers is something scientifically impossible. I don't know. And I'm not even sure 2 LeBrons make this team a championship contender. I don't know. 2 37-year-old LeBrons? I don't know. I need some shooters here. Let's get back to Russ. If you ask someone if they wanted Russ, because there's a lot of people who are like, Trysta, you're mean to Russ. And I love Russ. And I always preface everything that I say about Russ to say he's one of the hardest working guys in the league. And that's something that you cannot discount because there are so many talented athletes that don't try nearly as much as Russ. And they're like, well, you don't understand all of his gifts. You don't get it. You're just mean because he doesn't shoot the way you want him to, blah, blah, blah. And GMs say that too. And to that I say, I agree. Russ has a lot of special gifts. But do you want to take on Russell Westbrook as your marquee point guard for $46 million each year for the next 2 years, where he is your primary ball handler, scorer, facilitator? Do you want that? Because I'm all here for the Russell Westbrook party. I love Russ, but I, for no seconds, want him on my team. None. I like watching Russ like a Tasmanian devil through glass in the Sahara, right? I don't want him in my house. He's going to break shit. I only want to see him in the wild. That's where Russ belongs. Rucker Park. That's where he belongs. He does not belong as a marquee point guard. If you want to pay Russell Westbrook $7 million to come off the bench and provide a spark at this stage, totally fine on any roster. I think everybody would agree. But he's making $46 million a year, impacting the team's flexibility to do anything about winning. And then when he fails, he does not end up hanging around the team whatsoever. He just hits the showers and fucking leaves. Bron is defending him like he's in a slump. But that is who Russ is. We love Russ because he's the most prolific chucker in 15 years. He will not stop shooting no matter what. And here's what's not being discussed nearly enough. This is not a Russ problem. This is a Rob Pelinka problem. Rob Pelinka is, what's a synonym to trash? He is so inept. He is so significantly over his head at his job that he allows his marquee stars to make decisions for him. The greatest mistake a GM can make is that thinking just because they have a player who's a Hall of Famer, has an incredible mind for basketball, and understands the game in a way that someone who's never played it at that level never can, doesn't mean that they know shit about constructing a roster of people who fit together with chemistry and all the things that you must do in order to win basketball games. That's not what they do. They play their individual role and they help make their teammates better. They don't know how to draft. They don't know how to scout. They don't know how to fucking recruit the right players to create a roster that makes sense. And that's what happened. Like, Rob Pelinka listened to LeBron when LeBron James said, I need Russ, and he did it like a fucking lemming. That's what he did. And he deserves to be held accountable for that. Not LeBron. That's not LeBron's fault. LeBron can say his piece, and then a GM with a spine can say, no, that's not what we're doing here. Love you. We're creating friction like this. We're going to get through this, but we're not bringing this chucker who makes $46 million, who doesn't shoot at all, onto a team with you to create space or no space for you. No. Like, they needed DeMar DeRozan. They needed a playmaker, yes, to give LeBron a break. But they also need a playmaker that can shoot. And Russell Westbrook cannot shoot. And Bron was recruiting everyone. Like, he was trying to tell Damian Lillard, I want you. Bradley Beal, I want you. It was like The Bachelor. He was giving everybody roses in the early stages, and we don't even know who LeBron wants to be his wife. Obviously, Russell Westbrook, who it's not working out. And what he needs is different than what he wants. I'm sure he wanted Russ to come home and it to be a nice story and the Brody to be there and them to just be rocking out, drinking wine, and eating tacos. But this is bad. And this is all Pelinka's fault. And he's a former agent who his entire reason for existence as a Laker GM is just because Kobe put him there. And nobody talks about that nearly enough. It's nepotism. It was a relationship with a snake who does a terrible job. I know I'm just like laying into Rob Pelinka, but he really is not good. If you dissect, which we have in the past, all of the decisions that Rob Pelinka has made, he took and dismantled a team that won a title. All of the things that they did well in 2019, 2020, when they won in the bubble, a Mickey Mouse ring, as people call it. All of those things, they just worked for the last 2 years to dismantle. Like, all of the good things are now gone. And what you have left is a $46 million Russ and a gajillion contract with LeBron James. And now it's so bad that people are saying he should force his way back to Cleveland. And they're not joking at all, whatsoever. Mavs, Jazz. I think this was a strange fit. I think when Adam Silver scheduled the Mavs and Jazz on Christmas, people thought Luka would emerge as an MVP candidate coming off the Olympics with Slovenia. Runaway. But, and what we saw what Luka did in the playoffs was tremendous against the Clippers. He can ball. And then, let's be real. Probably the Clippers would have been playing the Jazz if it wasn't for Kawhi getting injured. Or if the Nuggets had a healthy Jamal, we might see Jazz play LA, or we might see the Jazz play Denver. But alas, Luka, who draws a shitload of eyeballs, was their consolation prize. Whoops. Because no Luka on Christmas Day. He's been out pretty much all season with either an ankle injury, COVID, or obesity. Like, pretty much all three of those are comorbidities for one another. So that's how it's been. And what we ended up, though, was getting probably maybe one of the best games of the day, surprisingly. I don't know how I didn't know that I needed a steady dose of Jalen Brunson, but I did. He had 27, 2, and 6. Had Porzingis continuing his I Hate Rick Carlisle tour. He had 27, 9, and 3. And fucking Frank Ntilikina, legend, Knicks legend, had 17 points. Discarded Nick and Frank Ntilikina. The Jazz, they won. Donovan Mitchell is playing out of his mind right now. He's out for 2 games now with a back strain. But I think the thing that's the most interesting to me about this game moving forward is that the Mavs without Luka competed with the Jazz all the way to the end. And the Jazz have tons of talent. They have sharpshooters. They're getting healthy. They got Bojan. Bojan had 25 points, 4 rebounds, and a steal, 4 for 8 from 3. My man, Bojan back. I mean, that should not be. The Jazz are a 3 seed, and the Mavs are all over the place. Like, on any given day, they're somewhere new on the standings. And this is why I continue to question the Jazz. Frankly, do they have what it takes to make a real deep run? Because if your team can allow Jalen Brunson to give you the business, to Frank Ntilikina to give you the business, Dorian Finney-Smith to give you the business, Rudy Gobert had only 10, 11, and 1. That's unacceptable. That is you are 7 feet tall, and it's supposed to be like defensive player of the year, and Porzingis gave you all the buckets. All of them. Rudy plays well against traditional centers, and against guys that he needs to switch on and off of, he struggles. Like flex lineups, like the Clippers, like the Mavs, like when they run at him, he's a liability. So while it was a fun game, to me, probably this game showed me the most about a team and where they're headed. I think the Jazz are headed for a first or second round exit. Like they need the 1 seed as bad as I need some free bet credits on my BetMGM account. Like they need that because otherwise they're getting bounced. Like if they are a 3 seed and they play a 6 seed in the Mavs with a healthy Luka on the Mavs on Christmas Day would have beat them. They literally had to fight and claw to beat a fucking trash Mavs team with Dorian Finney-Smith. Like, okay. So they are in trouble. And Luka and the Mavs are in a lot better spot than even I think they knew, considering where the West is right now, which is probably the softest that it's been in 5 years. So what do we make of these Christmas days? Fun day. We didn't have Omicron completely destroy Christmas, which was nice. It shows you, and I think the thing too is it shows you how fast and like how immediate you can see teams rise and fall. Like we saw the Hawks and the Knicks look so good, and we imagined that it would continue. Especially the Knicks, who really didn't make a ton of changes, especially the Hawks didn't make a ton of changes, right? And in the age of COVID, you've got injuries, you've got COVID, and things just flip on their head faster than you can even look up. Like, I thought that the Warriors weren't going to be good until they got Clay back. The Warriors with, like, milkmen are really, really good because of the coaching that they got, because of how healthy they've been, because of the Draymond Green being the leader and bringing back Andre Iguodala, all these things that shows you how the league can be so interesting. And again, like the Orlando Magic, you have hope. Like teams, you can go up and you can go down in a matter of 2 months. You know, I honestly thought the Knicks would be great. Thought that they could probably take another step up from 4 seed to 3 seed. And now they might miss the playoffs altogether. And that's what makes this league so interesting. I think you can find new teams on Christmas Day, and I hope that we see the Cavs on Christmas Day again without LeBron James to rub it in his face. That's all the time that we have for the Heat Check. We'll be back Wednesday morning early with a new episode. We'll be talking more about the Kings and Alvin Gentry just completely not giving a fuck anymore. He's just railing on them, completely embarrassed by their lack of effort. So don't forget to download, subscribe, tell all your friends. Follow us on the Heat Check, This Heat Check, and Trysta Krick on TikTok. We will see you folks Wednesday.